2016. Before we get started, I introduce you to this afternoon's guest speaker. We have some useful tips on navigating our way around the system. You have a control panel in the right-hand top side of your screen, which is hidden. Click on the yellow button with the white arrow to unhide this panel so that you can send questions. Questions can be asked by filling them in on the question feature. Your question will then be answered during the webinar at the end of the presentation. Make sure to mute your audio line, press *6. Your questions will now be answered on a first-come, first-answered basis at the end of the webinar. Please use the questions section in the control panel. For further questions, please contact info@finat.com. A recording of this webinar can be found on the members area of the FINAT website in the library. All members can create their own profile to access this members area. So, your presenter today. On behalf of FINAT, I would like to extend a warm welcome to today's guest speaker, Mr. Mike Fairley. Mike represents Tarsus International Business-to-Business Media Group, who have interests in education, exhibitions, publishing and online media. Mike's presentation will introduce a recently launched Label Academy, an educational series of working modules designed to provide a framework and final certification to employee training across your business, helping us all to unlock the sometimes hidden potential within today's modern forward-thinking label company. And with not so much to do, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Mike Fairley.
Thanks very much, Chris, for the kind introduction. I won't do a lot of preliminaries on this, but I'll go straight into the presentation, which is entitled A New Education and Training Initiative, which we've been working on for several years. But let me just look backwards to where the industry, the printing industry, has come from and where the training and education has come from. If you look backwards even 30 to 40 years, printing industry itself had one of the best education and training schemes in the whole of the printing industry, or in fact, whole of industry. It had a very good apprenticeship system, it had excellent printing colleges, experienced trainers, and in general, people wanted to get into the printing industry because it was well paid, highly paid. You had the image of the newspaper industry, which was a very, very highly paid job for life industry in the past. It was regarded as a really highly skilled industry. But what's really happened since then? What's going on today? The strange thing is that the more we've moved from a craft to a technology service and communications-based industry, the more high-end niche sectors that we're getting into, like self-adhesive labels in particular, have developed and grown, the higher the pressure on costs and margins, then the less high-quality knowledge and training and work we seem to do. It seems rather odd. Yet the self-adhesive sector is probably the most sophisticated and advanced in the whole global printing industry. People say to me, why do you say that? Well, look at it. It's got the widest range of substrates, paper of all kinds, films of all kinds, synthetic materials, metallized materials, metallics. In some sectors you've got fabrics and all kinds of specialist things. No other print sector has such a wide range of substrates. It has the widest range of printing processes, conventional and digital. It uses every printing process. Flexo, letterpress, offset, screen, even some gravure technology, toner technologies in terms of digital, inkjet technologies in terms of digital. It has more process than any other print sector. It's got the widest range of inline finishing converting operations. Not just die cutting technology, but we have all kinds of hot foiling, cold foiling, embossing of all kinds, debossing, blind embossing, registered embossing, and other finishing effects as well. We're seeing all these new innovations in recent years in things like QR codes, augmented reality, interactive and intelligent labels, brand protection and security features. And on top of all of that, we've got all these evolving environment, sustainability, compliance regulations. Seems to be new ones coming out almost every other week. So it's got challenges that many other sectors of printing don't seem to have at all. What are these challenges? I mean, one of the interesting ones in recent years has been all the compliance schemes that the industry have to comply to. Most of you are aware of, and many of you are probably using, ISO 9000 quality management, ISO 14000 schemes, environmental management. There's the occupational health and safety requirements, the EU framework now going into food contact legislation for labels and packaging, and the British Retail Consortium global standards for packaging and packaging materials, not just in the UK but used worldwide now. All of those encompass a requirement of some kind for ongoing experience and competence, for knowledge training and professional management development as part of their accreditation and certification process. Yet how many companies are actually doing that training that's really required? What are the other challenges? The image of the printing industry today is largely regarded as being for blue-collar workers. We still seem to have the image of printing inks and dirty hands and inks on the floor and all over the machines. It's moved a long way from that, and particularly with digital printing, it's all electronic and computerized. It has virtually unknown possible job choices in careers. You talk to any careers advisor in a high school or a college, probably none of them can actually tell you what the label industry is about and what it does. It's not seen as attractive to high school or university level employees. White collar jobs are regarded as far more exciting by school leavers today. So the problem is that the sector itself is not recruiting and developing the right levels of people for its long-term future and success. How do we get over this challenge? What do we need to do for the future of the industry? We need to try and enhance the levels of education and training for the industry in the future. And we need to do that in two ways. Firstly, for employers, that is people who are taking on people to go through careers and jobs, we need a professional recruitment program. We need to have better standardized annual appraisals. We need more knowledgeable sales teams to sell all the new technologies and opportunities and high added value solutions. We need to have more employee growth opportunities within a job. And we need professional management development as well for management teams. And for people joining the industry as employees or already in the industry, we need commitment from those potential employers. Ideally, we need an industry recognized certification process. We need to develop transferable skills and knowledge for people coming into the industry. We need to have a better understanding of all the new technologies and new solutions, and we need better opportunities for job progression. In simple terms, we need to build a new and dedicated education, training and ongoing job development basis for the industry's long-term future. How can we go about this? Well, ideally, what I would like to see is label companies incorporate an education, training and employee development policy into their company business plans and incorporate that into their annual appraisal system. It doesn't have to be complicated. I've shown a very simple example on the right-hand side of what an education training policy could be. It just simply says the company's committed to education and training and employee development. The person in the company responsible for doing that is XYZ manager or the managing director. The focus is to build a formalized job induction and development program, work towards establishing a progression structure. The company will provide its employees with opportunities to build knowledge and learn new skills, and the opportunity to progress. And the company recognizes that employee education and training is a cost to the company, and yet the company is prepared to invest in this cost by purchasing training materials, such as the books we're going to talk about, paying examination fees, and providing internal training, and if necessary, external training. It's not that complicated. It just takes a willingness by the management to have a simple policy which all the employees know and understand, and somebody who's going to implement it in that business. If you put that into a simple flow chart, you appoint a senior manager, line manager, or human resources manager who is involved in interviewing new employees, setting up an induction into the company process. When they're being inducted or at the end of that induction, you assess their training needs. What do they need to know? What do they need to learn? You implement that training through the academy if you wish to do it that way. That leads to certification. That leads to review of progress on a regular basis, which you build into the annual appraisal system, and hopefully the company can also build that into some kind of reward program at the end of it, an increasing salary or promotion or whatever. It's a relatively simple process, but it does need somebody at a senior level to have the willingness to implement it, and everybody knows who they are. So what is the Label Academy itself? It's been developed over 3 to 4 years, probably a bit longer than that when I first started it. It's already been endorsed by FINAT, the major European and global label association, by TLMI, the American Label Association, and LMAI, the Indian Association. We've been having talks this week with the British Label Association to look at endorsing it there, and I should be down in Turkey in a few weeks looking at endorsing it in the Turkish Association as well. So what is it? Well, it starts with a dedicated website offering syllabus content and learning modules and supporting handbooks. Students can register for free online, and they gain access to the content, not the content, but the syllabus and synopsis of all those books, plus a whole range of supplementary material which they can access completely free of charge. That includes articles that might be relevant on each topic. It includes white papers. It includes employee literature. It includes video clips from machine manufacturers and so on. And it was launched at Label Expo Europe last year and will be on show again at Label Expo in Chicago later this year. Within the scheme, students have the opportunity to take online examinations and obtain certificates for each module. There's an example of a certificate on the right-hand side. When you take the examination, you go through it and it tells you whether you've passed or failed. At the moment, you need a pass of 70% to get a pass. If you pass, you immediately download a temporary certificate, and then a proper certificate, foiled and embossed, is sent to you in the post with your name on in full detail. And if you didn't manage to get the pass mark first time around, you can take the exam again without any extra fee to take it. Questions won't all be the same, so you can't really cheat on it. Some of the questions will be different and they'll turn up in different orders. But you do get a second attempt. The first 6 modules are already available for purchase, and I've just listed, you can see them on the screen there. They include origination and pre-press module, technical handbook that is, the conventional label printing processes, digital label and package printing, environment and sustainability, codes and coding technology, label dispensing and application is in the process of being published, label embellishments is in the process of being established, and of course there's the encyclopedia of label technology which has been out for several years. What we're looking at in total is something like 20 modules to be completed within the next 2 years. On the website, the Label Academy is www.labelacademy.com. So when you go into that, you can see the synopsis of each module. In this case, you've got on screen the digital label and package printing. So it's got an introductory chapter, it's technology and terminology, it's an overview of the digital presses, the technology for package printing, pre-press, substrate selection. It's also got laser die cutting technology and so on. So it tells you what there is. You can click on each of those and it tells you what you would learn under that particular section of that chapter. The website, as I've already mentioned, contains a wide range of supplementary material that you can access. So you can have magazine articles, video clips, white papers, links to supplier resources, technical literature, conference papers, related PowerPoint presentations. We put on conference papers as well. All of that completely free to access in terms of development and training. You can do the online examinations when you feel competent. This is just a very simple question, but the questions are mostly quite straightforward in this one. What are the 2 key features of a letterpress Bratton press? And you have a choice of A, B, C, D, E, so you just tick those. And at the end of it, it tells you your score. We're already running masterclasses based on those technical handbooks and modules. 2 of those we did in Brussels in the end of last year. The Label Academy 4 to 5 hour workshop, academy workshop, the printing processes, and we also did a 4 to 5 hour session on digital printing as well. This year in Chicago, we're also adding to that origination and pre-press, and we're doing a workshop on shrink sleeve technology as well. So master classes are held alongside shows, experts give presentations. I've just been over in Holland doing master classes for companies in Holland as well. So where do we stand today with all this technology and what's going on? At the present time, there are well over 2,000 companies registered on the Label Academy website. There will be 10 of the modules, the handbooks, available by Label Expos Americas in September. We have increasing numbers of people taking examinations. We've just recently celebrated one manager who's actually passed 5 of the module examinations, a lady I would add, and over 1,300 books have already been sold. And more label industry associations worldwide are looking to endorse the Academy, and we're talking with a number about translating the handbooks into other languages at the present time. Those that are currently being finalised for production and should be available within the next 2 to 3 months are brand protection and security labelling, and also die cutting and tooling. They're all written. They're just going through the early production stages and waiting for publishing within a month or 2. We have the opportunity for label industry associations to actually license the modules now to translate and publish in other languages as associates of the Label Academy, but publishing in their own languages for their own countries and their own industry bases. Any industry associations that haven't already talked to us who would be interested in publishing in other languages, please come and talk to us about licensing these publications. What about people who are already doing their own education and training schemes? We're not looking to take over or interfere with anybody who's doing their training themselves, whether it's companies, colleges, supplier organisations, whatever it is. What we want to do is to help you to become better at what you do. We want to become a resource provider, experts who write the material which you can use within your own schemes in your own colleges. And we want to be a support body for the global label industry. So it's a question of developing the whole module and the training material. The existing industry suppliers, associations, colleges, training bodies and employer schemes can still all apply and become accredited to the Label Academy scheme, and using the learning modules, testing and certification process for themselves. So we don't want to take over from anybody else. We want to help you to do it better and become a resource, and you can become accredited to it. And if an association becomes accredited and endorses it, then their members have the opportunity to buy the training material at a discounted price as well. I hope that's given you a brief outline of where we are today and where we're going. I hope that the global label industry will support this initiative and strive to produce better educated and trained employees that we're going to need for the longer term for the industry to remain successful and profitable in the future. So thank you for listening to me. I hope it's been of interest. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take those now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for a great insight into the Label Academy. I think I speak for the entire membership in acknowledging that education is a lifelong process, and this is a huge positive step towards raising the overall standards in our industry. I've got 3 questions here which have been put forward, which if you wouldn't mind sharing your insight on, I'd be very grateful.
Yeah, please do.
The first one is, are there any plans to translate the Academy books into other languages?
I briefly touched on that in the presentation, Chris. Essentially, we've been having a number of discussions internally on this. We want to make this available to as many countries as possible. And what we've now decided is that we don't want to get involved into translating into other languages and publishing in other languages, but we will provide a license agreement to other associations or other bodies who want to translate themselves. So They take out a license agreement with us for each title. We supply them with the existing origination and artwork and all the diagrams, all the material, all the pictures, all the photographs, with everything they need. They translate into their own language and then they publish under license in their own countries. We're looking at doing that, say, particularly at the moment with the Turkish Label Association. We want to use this as a basis for developing an education and training program in Turkey. So they'll be the first, but once that's finalized, then we'll be making some promotion to other associations around the world to see whether they are interested in translating into their own languages as well. But so eventually, a totally global resource in all languages.
A truly global product. Fantastic.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
And another question, what other academy titles are you currently working on, Mike? What's planned for the future?
I'd say there's 3 at the moment in sort of awaiting publishing, going through production stages for the next 2 to 3 months. Embellishments or embellishing techniques, that's foiling and embossing and all these other things, is already in production and will be available within the next month. Die cutting and tooling is written and waiting to go through production stages, and we've got brand protection and security going through the production stages at the moment. In the pipeline for the coming year, I'm just starting to write one on management information systems and workflow automation. We have one just in process on label end user markets. That's looking at the food industry, the pharmaceutical, toiletries, and the requirements for labels for those sectors. We have one that's in early stages of planning on label substrates and materials. There's one in the process of being written on inks, coatings and varnishes. They're all scheduled to be finished this year and on sale this year. And then there are another 8 or 10 being in the planning stages. But by the middle of next year, we're probably hoping to be up to 14 or 15 actually published. And within 6 months to a year after that, hopefully up to the 20 titles that we set out to do in the first place. So there's a lot going on.
So there's a real true passion for the modules to keep pace with the industry and the developments and the changes that happen within it.
Yeah, what we're finding, Chris, is that each time we do a new module, people go in and say they want to buy it, but they don't just buy one module, they end up buying 3, 4 or more at the same time. Right. So each title stimulates the industry and creates a whole new impetus to grow the use of the modules worldwide.
Very good, very good. And finally, Mike, many companies run their own in-house training systems, academies. How can the Label Academy help those people? How can that assist?
Well, what you find when you look around the industry, a lot of label converters get bits of their training. They might have the materials supplier, the substrate supplier, come in and talk to some of their employees for an hour or 2. Right. They might have the ink company come in and do a bit of training for them. They might have the press manufacturer do a bit of training in-house, or if somebody goes to the press manufacturer and does some work on the press itself. You've got big companies like Avery Dennison who have their own training school as well. You have people, some of the press manufacturers have their own colleges or support high schools as well. But all of those are trying to write similar material on materials or printing processes. What we thought is it doesn't really make sense for people all over the world to be trying to write material when we can do it for them in a consistent, standardized way that becomes a global resource. So even colleges, schools, the major suppliers doing training at the moment, if they integrate what we're producing with what they're doing, we end up with a standardized global education and training system worldwide.
Yeah, an end-to-end solution.
I hope we'll be in 4 or 5 years' time.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. Well, thank you, Mike. It's been a fantastic insight into the Label Academy. On behalf of the membership, I would like to thank you for your time today. and all the effort you've put into this presentation for us. And I wish you a very good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for chairing, and nice to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.